These are my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Emmett versus Murphy. First fight is Vanessa Demopoulos and Talita Alencar. This one is basically a 50-50, but I'm going to say Demopoulos wins. I know that she's not the best, but she's been here before. She's had a good bit of experience in the UFC. She knows this game. Talita Alencar, this will be her second fight in the UFC. Her debut was against Luciano, which was a rematch, actually. It was a draw the first time. She was taking down Luciano in the first fight, but couldn't do it once in the second fight. She lost that fight, so I'm going to say Demopoulos probably gets this one by a 29-28. And then fight, moving on, we have Victor Henry and Pedro Falcao. This one, it's kind of close, but I'm going to say Victor Henry wins this fight. I know he did get submitted by Charles Jourdain in his last fight, so maybe it's not the best loss, but coming back against Pedro Falcao, that's not too bad. Pedro Falcao, he's all right, but I'm going to say Victor Henry gets it done. More experienced. Then we have Loma Lookboon and Estela Nunes. Well, I'm not going to go with Estela Nunes. I'm going to go with Loma Lookboon. She's 9-3. I know it's not the best record, but it's a little better than 6-5. Estela Nunes was supposed to fight Molly McCann in the London card, which probably McCann would have gotten that done. I know she got submitted by Thainara, but yeah, I think Lookboon is a lot better of a striker, and I'm going to say she clean sweeps this one. 30-27 by Loma Lookboon. And then Reese McKee and Daniel Frunza. Now, this one is actually kind of hard to pick because I know Reese McKee has yet to get a win in the UFC. I'm pretty sure she's 0-4. Got cut a while ago, but then he got re-signed. And then when he was re-signed, he fought Angelusa and Chidi Njokuani. Took Chidi to a split decision, which isn't that bad, and gave a good fight to Angelusa. So, actually, Reese McKee's, he's not horrible. Daniel Frunza, not much on him. It's going to be his debut. I know he has a lot of power, so he's probably going to have to catch Reese McKee, to be honest. But honestly, it's kind of a gamble, but I'm going to say Reese McKee probably gets this one done by decision. But he could get caught, so, Moving on, Diana Belbita and Dion Barbosa. I'm going with Dion Barbosa here because, in her last fight, I'm pretty sure her last fight, it was Kurtzgate. I honestly thought it could have gone the other way. It was a 29-28, pretty sure split decision. But I think she's better than Diana Belbita, 15-9. I know records aren't everything, but she has kind of something similar to what's going on with Mackenzie Dern in type of looks. You know what I mean. If you know, but I'm going to say Dion Barbosa probably gets this one done. I'm going to say decision, honestly. 29-28. Maybe Belbita wins the first round. Okay, then we have the return of Davy Grant versus Daniel Santos. I'm going to go with Davy Grant on this one. He's an underdog, plus 150. But, most of his losses, a good bit of his losses to Daniel Marcos, Adrian Yanez. Honestly, I thought he could have won both fights. Thought he probably should have won both fights. But, he is very slick. His last fight got a good win over Ramon Taveras. He did get a head kick caught and then he got dropped, but Taveras didn't really follow up. Maybe Santos, he has more of a threat on the ground. He's probably going to be looking to take that fight there. But I'm going to say Davy Grant is going to be too slick, too fast. He's going to defend the takedowns, keep it on the outside, get his way to a decision after a tough first round. So I'm going to say 29-28 Davy Grant based on rounds 2 and 3. And now a featured prelim is Ode Osborne and Luis Garul. Now, this is honestly, I don't really know, but I'm going to go with Luis Garul here. Ode Osborne, we know he's in the UFC. He's been here before, but he hasn't really been winning. In his last fight, he did lose to Ronaldo Rodriguez. But to be honest, I thought he honestly could have gotten a draw at least, or maybe win that fight. But Ronaldo Rodriguez, he just had a pretty bad loss to Kevin Borjas. Got exposed. So, not really too great the last fight. Garul, he's coming off some good KOs on the Contender Series. Let me check his finishing rate really quick. I know, and then he got a contract on here. I know there's not too much on him. So it says 0% for everything. That's the UFC website. So, I don't know. But I think Luis Garul, I'm going to say catches Ode Osborne in the first round. It could go either way, but I'm going to say Garul wins just because Ode Osborne hasn't been coming off best losses. Then we have Torres Feni, Robert Valentin. This is a good fight. Valentin, he's getting another chance in the UFC. His last fight was against Ryan Loder, and that was the tough final. Eventually, he broke his arm or something like that when he was going for a reversal against Loder. So then he was just pretty much defenseless, held in a crucifix by Loder, kind of a Kimbo Slice-esque finish. Kimbo Slice, Roy Nelson finish, and then he couldn't really do anything, and then the fight was just stopped. Ryan Loder won. But I think he might be able to, maybe he'll be able to out-scramble Torres Fini. But Torres Fini definitely stronger, ball of muscle. Look at the guy. Powerful, stocky. Honestly, maybe Valentin keeps us on the outside, but I think Fini's going to probably win this one. I don't know if a finish, but honestly, I could see a TKO going to Fini. Maybe Valentin's his way to win this fight is either by keeping it on the outside, which I don't really see that working too much. Also, I see maybe him getting submission by out-scrambling and ending up on top, getting that sub. But I'm going to say Torres Fini probably eventually catches him on the chin in maybe round 2, and then the fight will kind of be over. So I'm going to go with Torres Fini. Now we have Brad Tavares, Gerald Meerschaert. Ooh. Now, actually, I thought about this. At first, I'm thinking, Meerschaert, this guy, he's the ultimate gatekeeper of the rankings. Honestly, I think he could beat a good bit of ranked opponents, but Brad Tavares, man, he's got some really good takedown defense. I know he got taken down in his last fight by the Iron Turtle, but Iron Turtle's just that good. He did have a scrap with Dricus du Plessis, but it didn't go his way. So, Gerald Meerschaert, he is coming off that loss to Reiner de Ridder, but he was making de Ridder look sloppy and pretty bad, which, in my opinion, is pretty impressive. And then, before that, he submitted Edmund Shabazian. He was losing, almost got finished, but then he turned the tides and got the sub, so you definitely can't count out Gerald Meerschaert in this fight. I don't mind his chances, his striking isn't that bad, maybe Meerschaert will just outstrike Brad Tavares, but I'm going to say Brad Tavares probably keeps this one on feet and lands more powerful shots. So I'm going to say Brad Tavares by decision. Okay, and then next fight is Kennedy Nzechukwu, Martin Buday. Now, I mean, Kennedy Nzechukwu, this guy, I think this guy's going to go on a real run at heavyweight. Might take like a top 5 opponent if he's that good to stop him. He's just really skilled at heavy. He has light heavyweight skill. He's bigger than most of these heavyweights. Well, not in weight, because these guys are blobs, but taller, long reach. I think he has like an 83-inch reach or something. He has like he's 6'5". Yeah, 83-inch reach, 77-inch reach for Buday. He is 6'4". So, you know, Kennedy Nzechukwu, just too athletically gifted. He does a combo he kind of does is he throws mostly from southpaw, he stands, by the way, a lead teep to the body followed by a head kick, a left high kick. And then I think, yeah, if a heavyweight is throwing stuff like that, then I think they're pretty athletically gifted at heavyweight, and I feel like they're going to go on a run. And he does have counter ability. He did catch Lucas Tresky or Brisky. Not sure how you say his name, but it was a left hand and then a right lead hook, which got the job done. Chris Barnett, I know Chris Barnett got injured, but that fight was not going. That fight was not going to go to Chris Barnett. So Kennedy Nzechukwu, I'm going to say, gets the job done. Maybe it's going to take him till round 2, but I see a finish from Kennedy Nzechukwu. I'm going to say TKO, kind of similar to Gon Spivak, where it's kind of just a beatdown and eventually Buday is going to crumble. So I'm going to go with Kennedy Nzechukwu. Featured fight, interesting placement, by the way, Cortavius Romeus and Chang Ho Lee. Now, I don't really know too much, but I haven't seen too much from Chang Ho Lee, but I assume he's a road to the UFC guy. I think he can honestly win this fight just by mixing it up. I'm going to check his grappling stats really quick. Yeah, road to UFC, red gloves. And grappling, 30% takedown accuracy. Romeus has 66% takedown accuracy. Romeus also has a 70% takedown defense. Chang Ho Lee has 38% takedown defense. Just blindly, I was going to say Chang Ho Lee out-grapples Cortavius Romeus and gets the decision, but from both stats, I don't know what to predict anymore. Chang Ho Lee does have a 50% knockout rate. More than Romeus, who has a 22% knockout rate. But it does have a good percent of subs, Romeus. Chang Ho Lee has won a few decisions as well. Now, Cortavius Romeus, I have seen him fight before against Gaston Bolaños, which he did drop Bolaños at the end of the first round. Maybe that could have gotten him the first round. But then I'm pretty sure, was it 30-27 from Bolaños? I don't know, I feel like Cortavius Romeus probably could have won one of the rounds, if I'm remembering correctly. So, honestly, this is kind of a 50-50 as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna go with Chang Ho Lee. Moving on, co-main event, Pat Sabatini, Joe Anderson Brito. Okay. I'm gonna go with Joe Anderson Brito. He did lose to William Gomez, but I thought he won that fight. First round and the second round. And then I know William Gomez did lose to Hyder Emil, but Gomez, honestly, I would have given that fight to him. Joe Anderson, he beat Diego Lopez. That's kind of a crazy win. I don't think he'd beat Diego Lopez now, but that's a very good name on your resume to have. Pat Sabatini's coming off a win over Jonathan Pierce, rear naked. It was a standing rear naked, I'm pretty sure. He got the back and got the sub. Before that, I think it was the Lopez fight, where that kind of was not fair. That was just a Lopez demolition job. Yeah, he got knocked out. I think that was the first round, 2 minutes. So, but Pat Sabatini, maybe he will post something in the grappling for maybe catches Brito in a sub, but I don't really see it happening. Brito doesn't have the worst grappling either. He's honestly pretty good. He did get laid on by William Gomez for a bit, so yeah, maybe not the best thing, but honestly, I think Joe Anderson Brito's gonna get it done. I don't know if I want to say finish, but definitely maybe a dominant decision at least, or maybe honestly could get a TKO. Leg kicks, he does have good leg kicks. So maybe I'm gonna say 3rd round TKO for Joe Anderson Brito. Maybe Sabatini too content to go to the ground and Brito just ground and pounds him. Okay, I'm back. Main event, Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy. Now, honestly, this is a very interesting fight. It's kind of a thing of, is Josh Emmett gonna catch Lerone Murphy and knock him out cold? Or is Lerone Murphy just gonna be the more skilled fighter and get his way to a decision? Honestly, I'm leaning towards Murphy here, because I know he does get caught. He got caught by Dan Ige. Not put out, but he got dropped by Dan Ige. Honestly, Dan Ige did look... He didn't have the best finishing instincts after. Maybe an injury. I know MMA Guru talked about that first, so that's his credit. So, but I mean, it was a very close fight with Danny Ige, but he won. I mean, to be fair, Josh Emmett also did have a very close fight with Danny Ige and probably should have lost that. So we can't really do MMA math here. But Josh Emmett, very dangerous. Definitely has a lot of power, and if he catches Lerone like that, like the same way Ige did, then Lerone's going to sleep. So, honestly, very tough fight to predict. But Lerone Murphy, from all the fights I've seen of him, much faster, more slick. And Josh Emmett, he kind of, he has that style, one-hitter quitter. He's 40 now, so... I mean, but if anybody can knock Lerone Murphy out at 40, then it's Josh Emmett. So, I mean, Lerone Murphy, I'm going to say, maybe honestly gets a boring performance. Maybe gets a boring decision win. Topping low kicks, jabs, and then moving out. Classic Lerone Murphy decision. That's what I'm going to go with here. He's a favorite, 270, which... I think that's kind of crazy, honestly. I think I would put him at maybe like 120 at most, minus 120. But anyway, I'm going to go with Lerone Murphy here. Maybe honestly get some takedowns here. Yeah, I'm going to say Lerone Murphy probably mixes it up, coasts his way to a decision. That's going to have to do it for my predictions. Just saw Merab O'Malley 2 get announced. I mean, it's a fight. Doesn't have the most hype as of yet, but when it happens, it's going to be a big fight. I'd like to see how O'Malley readjusts to Merab, and on that same card we have Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison as a co-main, so we're going to sell the fight. We have a new main event for Kansas City. It's Ian Gary and Carlos Prates. That's great. So, pretty big fights now. So, that's good. And it's going to have to do it for this video. So, see you next time.